Guys, what is up? A question that everyone is asking me, and I'm here to answer it, is the 50i reliable? I'm gonna answer these questions. I'm gonna go over some things that have happened to my particular vehicle, and I'm going to recommend, or not recommend, getting the V8. So keep watching. Looks like video's cut short. I might have to modify a little bit. Let's just pull them in. So 50i, which is on the X5s, X6s, that's V8s. On the 5 Series, it's the 550s, 6 Series, 650s, 7 Series, 750, and 8 Series, 850s. Same engine. Obviously, they refined them. They got the N63, you have the N63TU, which means the technical update. And I think there's a technical update 2, which keeps going on. So the newer you get, the less issues you're gonna have. It's gonna be more refined. You're only gonna hear about people who have problems. People who don't have problems, they're gonna be really quiet. You're not gonna hear it. Like I said, I haven't talked about my car very much as far as reliability because I haven't had any issues to really talk about. Nothing to really say, hey, look, here's my V8, but there's no problems with it. Okay, good for you. But like I said, I've never owned the earlier models, but I've heard about problems with them, and I'm gonna go with those a bit later. I purchased this vehicle. It was located in Minnesota. I'm currently in California. I was worried about the issues. I researched the 35i, the 35D, and the 50i. Felt like what I would want. I really wanted the M. I just could not afford it. So I felt like the 50i could give me my performance and a little less cost. So what we have here, this car had 40,000 miles, just over 40,000 miles when I found it online. I'm currently sitting at 62,000 miles. I've had it for a year and a half, and the only thing I've done to it so far has been 2 oil changes. Reading more about issues, I'm thinking I might step up to go a little bit, maybe frequently in the oil changes instead of the every 10,000 miles. The first one was just a scheduled stop at the dealership. It was around, I want to say 53,000 miles, and I changed the next one at like 59,000. And I've also changed the spark plugs. I've had the infamous, what they call drivetrain malfunction. It started out just a one-time fluke where I was, passing a car, and I was full throttle, and the car started to almost misfire, almost sputter. And I didn't know what was going on, and it reminded me back, kind of like, remember when you would have, I don't know if anybody ever had a turbocharged car before in the past, like an older, I've had an import. It was a 3000 GT VR4, and it was tuned, modified, upgraded turbos and stuff like that. But when I would get spark blowout, the car would start to misfire and get those things, and usually it would be due to me running too much boost, then the spark plugs being gapped incorrectly. Quick search online, people confirmed, hey, spark plugs, and they say, hey, if you're gonna do spark plugs, might as well do the coils too. So I figured, okay, I did it myself. It was really easy to do. It was actually one of the easiest cars I've ever done spark plugs before. It cost me around $320 on parts online, and ever since then the car has been perfect. I haven't had any more of those misfire, sputtering issues. No more drivetrain faults. And what I mean by that is, it would happen, like I said, you'd be full throttle, you'd be on a highway, and then all of a sudden the car would just feel like it lose all power. You only have maybe like 10%, maybe like 5% of the power just to get you off the road. That's right. Enjoy your walk. So like I said, you only have maybe 5% of the power, and that was just enough to get you off the road. When it happened to me, I was actually scared because like I said I was full throttle. This car did do a malfunction, and it wasn't just smooth and smooth as butter driving off the road. It was like it felt like the car was running on literally on two, three, four cylinders, and the whole car was just vibrating. It felt like an unbalanced washing machine on the spin cycle. That's what it felt like. The car was shaking really, pretty violent. I was freaked out, thinking like, "Crap! This motor's blown. I should have took advice of everybody else. I should have stayed away from the V8s. What did I do? I'm such an idiot. Now I'm going to spend thousands of dollars to fix this thing, and it's just going to be like I got all this stuff coming up. I had wedding coming up. I'm just like this is going to be hard." So I pulled into the gas station. I turned the car off. Obviously because the check-in light was on and everything like that. So it said drivetrain malfunction. Drive carefully. I turned the car off. Turned it back on. Cranked it up. The light was gone. Checking light was still on, but the vibration was gone. And I was thinking, okay, good. I can get the car home. Then I can figure out what's going on. The car's driving smooth. I jump back on the highway, gently get back on the highway, and the checking light goes away. I was thinking, oh, that's odd. So of course, me being me, and want to test it, make sure, I accelerate. Just a little bit to see, smooth. Punch it again, smooth. Didn't have an issue for weeks. I thought maybe that was just a weird fluke in the software. Maybe something was going on. By the way, my car is, at least to my knowledge, is stock. But I thought it was a weird fluke in the software. Maybe, who knows? Well, guess what? Happened again. Maybe a month later. Same scenario. Passing the car. Actually on that same road. Passing the car, and train drive malfunction. I'm thinking, great. And someone told me, they say, hey, look, if it's happening, it's going to keep happening. It's going to be more frequent. You might want to get plugs. So I started, all right, I need to do plugs and coils. So I went ahead and did that. Like I said, no problem. And it's been a good car. I mean, I won't, I like it because, for one, it's BMW, you get the awesome driver dynamics. It handles well. It's fun to drive. Like for me, like I have a long commute to work. You see, I have a couple of different other cars I drive too. I have the Civic Si and M3, but this is my favorite car to drive when I'm on call, because I have to respond within like 30 minutes to a call when I'm on this call. I'm not going to go too much in depth of like what I do, but this X5 with the V8 has so much like low end power that when I'm going to that response time, when I get behind slow traffic, I need to pick up speed again. I don't have to mash to the floor to get it to pick up speed. I don't have to like do anything drastic. I just give it just a little bit of gas, and all that torque just builds its speed quickly, and I'm back up to like my speed limit. I don't hardly lose any ground. I sit up high. I'm elevated. I can see obviously a few cars ahead, and there's an SUV, so it blends in a little bit more than like said this car. So I mean, I like this car too for call, but also it attracts so much attention. People think, watch this guy just racing down the road for no reason. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm actually going to somewhere important. But good car. It's tires. Let's go to the tire cost. When I first bought it, it had I got two sets of wheels. I got the winter set with some Blizzaks, and then I have the standard. These are the 469 20-inch wheels. And it had the Continental Context Sport DWS 06, which is an all-season tire. And I figured, well, if I have all-season, if I have a winter tire, dedicated winter tire and winter wheels, I don't really need all-season. And I live in a climate that's warm. And like I said, if I go to like Lake Tahoe or something like that, yeah, I'll need winter tires. So I'll switch them out in between. So I bought new tires, and they cost me, I'm gonna link it here, I'm gonna find the receipt or something, but I believe they cost me around Let me pause that real quick. Let me see if I can have the receipt. No, I can't find the receipt, but I bought it from America's Tire, which is here in Northern California. It's called Discount Tire everywhere else. These are the Hancocks. These are the Ventus S1 Evo 2, and I paid. I think I paid somewhere around $800. Yes, that's right, $800. This is the staggered set. Obviously, I have the 315 millimeter tires in the rear. These are the 275s in the front, and it's really been pretty good. So $800 in tires. We talked about spark plugs, so that was $320. Labor was free. I did it myself. I may do a video or write up on how to change them if you guys are curious about that. And I did an oil change. My first one was at the dealership. But where I live, I have two dealerships that are both about 40 minutes away. And sometimes, like during COVID times, I was like, you know what? I don't want to deal with it. I just do it myself. Ordered the oil, ordered the filter. I think I got it from ECS Tuning, if I remember correctly. And I 150 bucks. And it costs the same actually at the dealership. But the benefit is I use my own oil, my own filter, everything else. And the satisfaction of obviously, knowing you're doing it yourself, you let it drain properly, everything else. But I felt no difference with it. Actually, I felt the engine ran a little bit smoother. I mean, it could be placebo, but I felt the engine ran a little bit smoother with the oil I used. I used the liquid moly oil. I think I don't have a bottle of it anymore. Yeah, I think I tossed it all. But I used the liquid moly. And going from the B&W oil, I felt like the engine ran a little bit smoother. I felt like it ran a little bit cooler. It's hard to tell. It just felt, it was a big difference going to that oil. Usually when you change your oil, you kind of know a little bit difference, but this was like an almost like well, wow, this thing feels smooth. And the next thing, as remember I talked about wheels. I switched my wheels back over to the Summers. And the first time I took it to America's Tire to do it, obviously it's free. But after, the COVID stuff started happening, I just had to do it myself. And when I put my rear tire on, I ended up having one of the lug nuts was stripped. Unfortunately, you can see I got the factory lug bolt in here, but it was stripped. And what ended up happening was I ended up forcing it off, and I don't know if it was over tightened or what. And when I tried to thread a new one in there, it wouldn't thread. So, bought a thread chaser, ended up like kind of cutting new threads in the hub. That cost me like $12 for the thread chaser. It would have cost me probably about $400 for the hub if I couldn't fix it, if I couldn't thread new hubs in there, new threads. But that was a scary experience because I thought like crap, I don't want to have to replace this hub. I don't want to have to go through all this. But once I cut new threads, chase the threads in here, clean them all out, I was able to thread a new lug bolt in there perfectly fine, and it's been perfect ever since. Other than that, no other issues. I have no other issues. I've done, obviously some modifications, just light aesthetic things. Obviously I added the wheels. I did like a little plastic dip in black. I might go to a permanent more solution, but plastic dip lasts a long time. And if I could change the color, brighten them up or darken them up if I want to, without costing anything extra. And I did the dash camera, did the tinted windows. The previous owner had this car ceramic coated and clear bra in the front, which I like. But other than that, yeah, no problems. I think the 50i is a good. I think you only hear about the people who have problems or people who have the early ones, right? So if you have an early model, like I said, when they first came out, at least until 2013, we have the N63. There have issues, and this was what BMW was experimenting with, meaning with the V8 twin turbo, they were the first to go with the hot V setup, and which means the hot V. If I'm pull this off, the turbo. These are the two turbochargers. All right. Usually turbochargers are mounted like lowered, at the exhaust manifold, like coming down, out of the way. But these turbochargers sit right here. So all this heat is now just a big thing of heat. You think about it. So I'm sure you've probably seen videos, or people probably seen videos. Hey, Scotty Kilmer bashing BMW, saying these plastic things crack, and this potential, yeah, they did. The early models did have a potential of that stuff cracking, but BMW have refined it. They know what their mistakes were. Even some models, they've even offered a customer care package, which means they can fix some of the people who've had issues, or I know some people who've had motor replacements for free, and they might only have to pay for is like labor, I think, or maybe got the whole cost. I'm not sure. I think it depends on the dealer, depends on the issues and the miles of your car. But this hot V setup is you have little to no lag between the turbo spool. So there are times where you drive it, it doesn't even feel like a turbocharged vehicle. It's just instant turbo spool, because it didn't take time to get the boost into the intake manifold. It's just instant. And obviously saves some space there by putting it in the V. And the cons obviously is just the heat, because turbochargers normally operate at 1,500 degrees, 2,000 degrees. So then that's a high temperature just to have all that heat just sitting right there in the top of the engine bay. But it doesn't mean that it's a bad technology. I mean, BMW's done it now. Now they fixed it, and they're still doing it. They know where their problems were, and they fixed it. Mercedes is doing it on their cars. A lot of their twin turbo V8s. Say for example, their M177. For example, that's using the C63. Is a 4-liter V8 hot V setup. You drive that car, it feels like you can really feel the turbochargers. It's just an instant on boost. Obviously, with the early models, those valve stem seals, obviously because of heat, excessive idling, that all that heat sitting in the valve stems, everything just gets created. Those seals go bad. But like I said, I knew those issues, and I knew going into this car, like, all right, let's do some research. So how did I get did I just get lucky and pick one without problems? Or did I do my research? I did my research. And I'm gonna tell you what I did. I'm gonna tell you a secret. I don't know if I should be serious, because it might hurt me later. But when I look for these cars, I look at the Carfax. All right. When these cars are covered under warranty, whoever the first owner is, either they lease it or they buy it, they're covered under warranty, right? You're gonna see a list of items in the Carfax. All right. So anytime a car usually goes in a dealership for warranty work, it's usually reported in the Carfax, and it's very vague what's listed in there. It could say things like maintenance inspection performed, or a vehicle checked. That's it. Or oil change performed, and vehicle inspection checked. But what I find is, and I made this mistake before, my first BMW, which I can just hold in video in its own. I'm gonna do that one separately. But what I find was, looking at those maintenance inspections or those vehicle checks, I look at the mileage and the dates. If they were on schedule, say within every 10,000 miles or every year, at least once a year, every 10,000 miles, and I would say, okay, this car had his scheduled maintenance performed. If I see it going in for service every 5,000, every 2,000 miles, or if it's brought back into the dealership, like say for example, it was brought back in June, and then it came back in July, and then it came back again in August, and all it says maintenance checked. That tells me this car is frequently in a dealership, and I automatically don't even pursue that car. Because I know that, if it's got problems now, it's going to continue having problems. Despite if it's low mileage and it's under warranty, it's going to continue having problems. And this isn't like BMW. I noticed this also with Mercedes and Audi when I bought my cars. These German cars, I look for those things. That's why I've had good luck with my AMG, and I've had good luck with my Audi Q7, because when I bought them, I didn't just jump on the first one, a good deal I saw low mileage, because I saw like, wait a minute, this car is in the dealership every like couple weeks. So when I see it on scheduled service, like if it's on there every like maybe twice a year, and just regular maintenance, and that's the mileage is appropriate, that tells me, well, this car is a good one. It's not going to suddenly just have problems when I buy it. So it's most likely a good car. When I see it, like I said, frequently visiting the dealer every couple weeks, that's when you know to stay away. And like I said, it is something I've been using. My last 3 cars I purchased, German cars, without warranty, by the way, because I did buy this car without a warranty. And I've never regretted anything. Obviously, I have a little money set aside in case I do have a an issue that just pop up. But it's been good. So would I recommend the V8? Yes. If you want the V8, and if you do those things I tell you, look for the history, you shouldn't have any issues. You should get to a good car. If you still watch this video and you still say, you know what, I really just don't feel comfortable with it, I don't want to take my chances, well, there's still other options out there. I mean, the 35i, even though it's not a 50i, it's not a slow car at all. I think the 0 to 60 is 6.2, maybe 5.9, or even the mid 5s with a tune. For an SUV, that is quick. You're gonna outperform most of the cars out there. It's gonna be fast enough. The M55, that turbocharged inline 6, is a solid engine. If you don't want the V8, then yeah, buy that one, or diesel. If you want the torque of this one, the benefit is you don't get the horsepower. But if you still want the low end torque, get the 35D. 35D is 413 pound-feet of torque, and the RPM it hits that peak at like low RPM. I think I want to say 1300. So the benefit is, if you're like someone like me, you tow like trailer and stuff, or if you think you're gonna buy a camper with it, or say do a lot of towing, you're gonna get your gas mileage plus everything else. But for me, I like the acceleration. I like the 0 to 60. I like just the bound of V8, and for me, I'm a power junkie. It's a problem with me. When Lexi bought her car, I had her. She was looking at the IS, and I said, at the time they don't make the V8 anymore. I said, well, get the 350. Don't get the 200T. Even the 200T may have suited her just fine. I talked her into the 350, and then when she experienced 350, she couldn't obviously go back down. But I'm just rambling now. But guys, thanks for watching. If you have any more questions about this, about my car, let me know. I recommend it. All 50i's aren't bad. And I said, this engine is still used today. They refined it. They use it in the 5 Series. They use it in the 6 Series. It's used in the 7 Series. And the 8 Series. If this engine was bad as people make it out to be, BMW wouldn't be using it. The people wouldn't be buying it. Another thing, guys, I want to touch on, oil consumption. You're probably curious about if my car is consuming oil. So I have to add in a quart, maybe not even that, for in between oil changes. And that was when I used to go 10,000 miles. I think I'm going shorter than that, and I'm probably gonna change the oil here soon. It's been like 5,000 miles. So I'm gonna run it right now so you guys can see it. Let's see if I can change this.
got 62,000 miles. As you can see right there. And there it is. Barely anything. For me, that's very minimal compared to what, you know, other cars I've had that burned more. My Mercedes, I definitely would have to add in a quart at 5,000, and you know, my Audi would definitely need a quart. So this is, to me, is normal. Like I said, 10,000 miles, I'm usually down to in between the minimum and the max. Just so you see, underneath there is no leaking. It doesn't leak oil. This is just some water from the air conditioning. Fuel. I used to use Shell V-Power. By the way, we can only get 91 octane in California. But I used to use Shell V-Power, and it's not like the car would, I wouldn't say misfire, I would just feel like it just didn't run the best on it. It's hard to explain. So I went to Chevron, and I've been running the Chevron 91 octane. And it's been like that for, it's been pretty good for me. I've been running it for about at least 2 or 3 months. I think that with the Shell, it just wasn't consistent. There are a few tanks, and I don't mean anything bad about Shell. I'm not saying like Shell's a bad gas, you know, fuel station, bad brand out, because I feel like my Audi ran better on Shell than it ran better on the Chevron. You know, it just all depends. But I just feel like, you know, even then when I first switched to Shell, I just feel like it ran, you know, well for the first few times, and I don't know, it could be the fuel station I'm using. But Shell is a East Coast, Midwest kind of dominated fuel brand, I guess, if I would say that. So for me to find a Shell station out here in California, I had to really drive out of my way to get one. And like I said, if it wasn't consistent, if I wasn't getting, like some days I feel like I would get a good tank, and other days I feel like I'm getting water. You know, it just didn't feel like I should probably use that station anymore. And like I said, that was the only one that's close by to me. There isn't any more Shell stations. I think, you know, all we have now is just, you know, Arco. I rarely use that, maybe if in, you know, last minute, but I try to just get Chevron, and a lot of people around here recommend Chevron, so, you know, it's been pretty good. If you're looking for a BMW with a V8 twin turbo, I would recommend getting the TU version. I've never personally owned the earlier,